Fran, are you going to make us
How's
feel
everything
better?
going? Yeah, we had a an Eagles win. What's there to complain about, right?
Eagles
You're
fans never
right.
complain.
Great. Well, let's start with the interception first,
Okay.
because what goes into it aside from being in the right place in the right time as Travis Kelce coughs it up.
Yeah, this was actually a play that the Eagles ran to Zach Ertz dozens of times for touchdowns. Actually, Zach Ertz caught a touchdown this on Thursday night against the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
We saw this kind of play. So let's go to the first one here, Julia. It's Mukuba INT1, and basically what you see here from the Chiefs is that they're going to try and vacate the middle of the field by taking the running back and sending him out in pre-snap motion, sending him to the sideline. That's going to take Zach Bond away from the middle of the field. You're running an in-breaking route to Travis Kelce, and so if we go to the next shot here, Julia, you could see the route concept where basically you're going to get the shallow crossing route from the number two receiver, from the number one receiver, and then Travis Kelce's going to break outside before sliding inside. Again, if you are an Eagles fan, watching during Zach Ertz's time, you saw him run this concept on third down, fourth down, and in the red zone like countless times for big plays. This is a great concept. I call it a follow concept because essentially that second receiver Kelce is following the shallow crossing route from that outside receiver. Now the Eagles are in man-to-man coverage here on this play. It's a five-man blitz. So when in man-to-man coverage, if you're playing with one single high safety, which you could see Mukuba there in the middle of the field, he is the single high safety. Those defenders, they have to play with outside leverage. So they are responsible for all of the receive anything that's going outside. They want to try and funnel it back inside to their help, and Mukuba is their help. Mukuba there in the middle of the hash, he has got to try and make sure he's reading the quarterback's eyes, and he's got to be decisive, especially in the red zone. Things happen so fast. You've got to make sure that you are decisive with your reads. So, Julia, if we go to the next shot here, to shot number 3, you can see now, all right, Kelce, he's face up. He's got good position here for this ball. Blankenship did his job. He is playing this outside in. So, yeah, he's going to give up this catch, but he's hoping that he's able to either make a play through the back shoulder or the Mukuba is able to intersect this throw and make a play on it. Obviously, Mahomes puts this on Kelce, and Kelce drops this ball, but I thought Mukuba did a really good job of being decisive, and he's there to make this play on the bobbled throw, but if he is one step slow, he's not in position to make that play. So I thought he did a really good job. And then the last part of this, actually, if we go to the last shot, him just maintaining the catch like through contact, running into Blankenship. We've seen that plenty of times where, a defensive player, he makes contact with somebody and then the ball hits the ground. We've seen that time and time again. So the fact that he was able to still come up with this would have been third and goal, and who knows what happens at that point. So great job from Mukuba all around. It was a good concept from the Chiefs, but really well executed from the Eagles defense as well.
Okay, and that was the big play he made, but we also saw him make a play in the backfield of the Chiefs earlier in the game when he combined with Zadarius Smith on a sack of Patrick Mahomes. How did Vic Fangio dial that bad boy up?
Yeah, this was a really cool play. Just kind of going back and honestly going through some of the numbers from last week as well. So I've got two Mukuba plays here. I want to make sure I hit on the third down play as well, the 3rd and 1 stop. But we'll do the sack because that happened first in the game. So Julie, if you go to Mukuba sack 1, we'll take a look at what this play was. Now it's 3rd and 8, so it's 3rd and long, and you see Mukuba is down in the slot. So they're playing a dime defense here with 6 DBs on the field. Now they did this a couple of times last week against Dallas, where Sidney Brown came on as the deep safety, Mukuba came down as the extra slot defender. On those 2 times, well, technically it was 3, but one of them was a spike. So we'll say it was 2 real snaps against the Cowboys. It was no blitz, and you had essentially like a bracket or a 2-man type of coverage there from the Eagles. So there was no sign of pressure. And before the snap, Mahomes is surveying. He's like, yeah, this looks like what they did last week. This looks like it's some kind of man coverage. You've got 3 over 3 to the bottom with Mukuba over the number 3 receiver, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell also to the bottom of the screen. You've got Adoree Jackson to the boundary at the top. And again, you've got the 2 safeties, Blankenship and Brown, deep outside the frame. It's a basic 4-man rush. This is a pretty simple read for Patrick Mahomes. Julie, if we go to the next shot here, since they are treating this as this isn't going to be a blitz, but this is going to be a basic 4-man rush, You can look in the circle there. The center, Creed Humphrey, he is sliding towards Jalen Carter. Carter was lined opposite the pressure. So this is actually a really smart alignment from the Eagles as well. If you assume that Jalen Carter is going to draw the extra attention, if all things are equal on a 3rd and long, all right, well, now we are going to send pressure off the weak side of the protection. And so you've got the center sliding away from the blitz. Now you've got Jordan Davis one-on-one, Nolan Smith one-on-one. No one is there to account for Drew Mukuba. We see that explosive speed really show up here. The safety is going to come down and pick up number 3. Mahomes never sees this coming. Just an outstanding job from the Eagles here on this play, and it becomes a sack for Drew Mukuba. Zadarius Smith combining there in the backfield as well. Both edge rushers did a good job of clearing the edge, but I thought that was well designed from the Eagles. Nice little change up off something that they showed last week out of dime, and they were able to get pressure on Mahomes.
And a good finish on that play too, because I've seen guys come in clean there, and then Mahomes sort of slink through. Mukuba held on to the leg and was able to let Zadarius Smith finish it off.
We saw it earlier in the game. Mahomes was able to give it to Mahomes a little bit, early on in the game and shake a tackle from Mukuba. So, we definitely saw it go both ways here.
Okay. Now, you also wanted to talk about the 3rd and 1, so let's see that one as well.
Yeah, let's take a look at the 3rd and 1. So, Julia, this is just Mukuba tackle. This is, again, it's 3rd and 1. This was a great play. So it's 3rd and 1. And honestly, going back to Eagles 26, the 2010 Eagles, this is right in Vinny's wheelhouse here. This is a play that Vinny has seen of the Eagles offense run hundreds of times. This is mesh. This is a mesh play, a great man-to-man coverage beater where the first read from Mahomes, you can see his eyes kind of peeking here. He wants the running back out of the backfield on the wheel. Jahad Campbell's all over it. So once he sees Mahomes, once he sees Campbell kind of scrape over Quinyon Mitchell, and he's now in clean position to pick up this wheel route, now he has to get to his second read in the progression. And that second read is going to be the slot receiver, Hollywood Brown, running the shallow cross. Now, Julia, if we go to the next shot here, the hole player, the rat player here on this play in cover 1 is Zach Bond. And Bond does a really good job here of just slightly stepping up. He's entitled to some of that grass as well. He can't impact the receiver that close to the line of scrimmage, but he can step in the way. And as long as he doesn't draw contact, he does a good job. Hollywood Brown, once he sees, Bond's in the way. If I don't clear this middle of the field defender, Mahomes is going to get off me, and he's not going to be able to hit me here for a first down. So Hollywood Brown, you can actually see it on the next shot, Julia. He completely takes himself behind the first down marker, and you see Mukuba, who's in man-to-man coverage here on Brown, straight one-on-one man-to-man coverage. He's now scraping this over the top. And again, the decisiveness really shows up. You can see that Mahomes is about to let go of this football, and there's about 5 yards of separation between Mukuba and his assignment. And you just see him close fast and finish. And we'll just go to the last shot here, Julia. Does a nice job finishing one-on-one and making the stop short of the goal, or short of the first down marker. The Eagles come out, 4th down. Great job by Nolan Smith and Zadarius Smith, Jordan Davis. Those guys all combined there for a stop on 4th and 1 to start the second half. So, overall, this was a really good game here from Drew Mukuba. Wasn't all perfect. He had a couple things that might have been questionable that I'm going to second guess, until I see the film. But overall, a really nice night from the rookie.
That one though, Vinny, you loved that hit.
Oh, that was crazy. He redeemed himself. We was just like, damn, Pat done lowered the shoulder on him.
He's too small.
As a rookie, I was like, gotta get the Wheaties. And then he came back and delivered the boom. I was like, all right. You got that one. You got that one.
All right, Fran. So the negative. You are able to break down to some degree the Taekwon 3rd and long touchdown at the end.
I would have loved if we had gotten an all 22, but kind of piecing together some of the replays that we did get briefly after the commercial break. I think I have an idea of what may have happened here. So, Julia, let's go to the first one, Taekwon TD1, where we're going to take a look. Pre-snap, what it looked like here on the left side of the screen. And you can see that you've got Thornton and Brown lined up to the left, pretty cut splits here. It looks like this was a cover 4 look from the Eagles, again, based off of the limited replays we've got. So Quinyon Mitchell, he's going to be responsible for his quarter of the field. Reed Blankenship responsible for his quarter. You've got Mukuba and Adoree Jackson over on the other side, outside of the frame. Now, the Chiefs run a great quarters beater. It's called a Mills concept. This was popularized by Steve Spurrier of the University of Florida, back in the 90s. Let's go to the next shot here, Julia, and you can see why this is such a good quarters beater, where you're going to have Marquise Brown running the deep in cut. All right. And then you're going to have the deep post over top of that. Thornton, number 80, is running the deep post right at Blankenship. Now, Blankenship, he has got to trigger on number 5, on Hollywood Brown. So he has got to make sure that he steps into that route. And now he's going to have to make sure one of my buddies, one of my teammates in the secondary is going to pick up the deep post. So I don't think that Blankenship was wrong here on this play. I think Blankenship is doing the right thing. And again, I want to see this based off the all-22, but based off what I'm seeing here, I think Blankenship plays this right. And you could see, I mean, if we go to the next shot, he's wide open. Like Thornton there's nothing but green grass on the other side. So as soon as I see that, and I saw Quignon, as soon as the ball was caught, he starts looking around. He looks, and I'm like, okay. Like to me, there was something else amiss here. We know how much zone coverage the Eagles play. So where did the bust come from? So let's go to the next shot here. And this was a wide angle they showed from the spider cam after the commercial break. Now, what we see is that this was a closed formation from the Chiefs. So it's a 4-by-1 formation. We've got the running back to the left and 3 receivers to the left, and you have just a tight end to the right, number 83, Noah Gray. Adoree Jackson is all the way up pressed on the line of scrimmage against Noah Gray. Now, he's not blitzing here. He honestly, it looked like it may have been a blitz, but then he kind of falls off and stays with Gray in coverage. So I think he was just being aggressive here early and down, knowing he's going up against a tight end. He wasn't worried about getting beaten vertical by a bigger body. So I think he was just being aggressive in coverage. But you can look at Patrick Mahomes here. His eyes are all to the right. And Julia, if we go to the last shot, you can see that as he hits the top of his drop, he is looking right at Mukuba. And I think that Mukuba, typically what the rules are in quarters, guys, is if you are facing a 3-by-1 set, so 3 receivers to the other side, that DB, that safety, Mukuba, he has got to be looking to the strong side of the field. He's got to trust, hey, Adoree Jackson, he's got the tight end on lock. I'm not worried about that. I need to be worried about all the other pass catchers on the other side, because chances are they're going to be running a concept like this where I have got to make sure I pick up one of these crossing routes coming this way. So whether or not he is in position to pick up that in cut from Hollywood Brown or get over the top of the post route to try and deter the throw from Patrick Mahomes, my gut, based off these TV angles, is that this is more on Mukuba as opposed to Quignon or as opposed to Reed Blankenship here on this play. So again, it's one of the plays I'm most excited to watch when I go back to the all-22 tomorrow, but based off of these angles, I feel more confident in saying that this is on the rookie here on this play.
Damn, Rook.
Well, that's interesting. So why is Mukuba responsible for the one over the top and not the one that's coming more directly towards him?
And that's one of those things where I want to be able to see, like, is Reed trying to pass that off?
Yeah.
And then he doesn't. And so that's why you almost kind of read the body language there. So a lot of that has to do with like depth of route and where his eyes should be. So the Eagles were so good at this for the majority of last year. And then when I go back to like that 2022 defense that lost in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs, like, those guys were so good at picking up those routes and doing a really good job of those pass offs in the middle of the field. So you've seen this a lot here with this defense, but obviously on that play did not work, and they were able to hit it for the big play.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, Fran, 2 things. One, is the collared shirt just for us, or do you rock that on NFL Sundays at home too?
Literally just pulled it off the hanger just for you and all of our all of our thousands of friends here watching.
No pants. And then second, I was curious on the other kind of blown coverage play to your naked eye. Yeah. What did you see go wrong there? The pass wasn't completed. Mahomes overthrows him. But that could have been an absolutely game-changing play.
Yeah, they didn't show a great angle on that one. He was wide open. That's another one I want to wait and see. It could have been it was a similar kind of concept. The route came from the opposite side. But they didn't show a good enough angle there for me to make a determination there.
I guess I'll have to find out on allphly.com or something, or maybe watch the Eagles show tomorrow at 2:00.
On the show tomorrow, I'll have answers tomorrow at 2:00.
Good tease, very good tease. Did you also want to break down the Mahomes touchdown if we're talking negative things on defense?
No, honestly, I didn't do the diagram of that one, but on that one, Jacorian Bennett's just got to do a better job, guys, of getting off that block in a scramble drill situation. I know that was a play where Adoree was out, so Jacorian Bennett was in there, just got stuck on the block far too long, and Mahomes was able to get outside. They made a good adjustment in terms of keeping him bottled up in the second half. He was a lot less dangerous with his legs, but this shouldn't have been a surprise considering what he did last week against the Chargers, where Mahomes was really, really efficient and effective as a scrambler.
Did you notice anything from the TV copy of things changing in the second half on why they were able to snuff that out?
No, that's what I want to see. Like, did they do more from a rush lane standpoint? Vinny, I'd be interested to see it. I don't know, Vinny, if you saw anything, but there was nothing that stood out to me watching live. That'll be something I'll keep an eye on when I go through the film in the morning, though.
Okay. Go ahead, Vinny.
No, I was saying I thought majority of the time is behind that sticks. So he was trying to get the ball out
True.
quick. You see the one pass that he rushed to Kelsey and it hit the dirt. Thank God it hit the dirt. But you know what I mean? Just things like that. I just think he was trying to rush even more time because like I said, like he was dialing it up. Vic was dialing it up on him, as the game went on.
Yeah, and they come out and get that fourth down stop right away. Go ahead.
I was really surprised by the amount of blitzing that we saw from the Eagles. And that's what when you go up against Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, like you got to throw them things they didn't expect. You got to keep them on their toes. And I like the aggressiveness there from Fangio and the willingness to change up.
And that was something that he haven't really had on film. Uncle Vic really haven't had that on film, but to put that on tape and to trust the young guys to do it, it says lots about what we have and what the future holds.
Yeah, well, that's because it is also, it portends well for this defense. If everybody stays healthy, it should only be getting better.
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
All right, other side of the ball, Fran. I believe you have the Saquon touchdown to break down for us.
I do. I figured, look, just to hear Vinny say it, like I feel like we gotta put it in there.
Who scored the first touchdown of the game?
Saquon! Hey, when he handed it off, did you see Jalen?
No. Did he do the touchdown right away?
Oh, my God. It was sick, bro. It
really?
was not when it was. So when
I don't have it on.
You guys go back and watch it, bro. I seen a couple memes. They was doing the
right away.
The Dwayne Wade and LeBron.
Yeah,
even though it probably wasn't like that, but it looked like that. It looked pretty cool. It looked pretty sick. Whoever made that meme, it looked pretty sick.
All right, go ahead, Fran.
All right, well, let's take a look. So the first clip, Julia, this is Saquon 1. So really good use of pre-snap motion here on this play from the Eagles, where they're going to send Kylan Granson in motion from right to left. And all that's going to do, it's a very subtle adjustment here from the Chiefs, but they're just going to bump those linebackers over because you're adding a gap over to the left side. They've got to account for that. Rather than sliding the defensive line, they're going to bump those linebackers over one gap. And we can see in the next shot, Julia, if you go to shot number 2, all that does, that gives Cam Jurgens that ability just to be able to get on the outside shoulder of Leo Chenal. And just that extra step, that subtle movement from the motion is just enough. So you see the Cam Jurgens circled up on the linebacker there at the second level. Lane Johnson does an excellent job on the defensive end with the kick out block here. That's going to create the outside lane. And then you're going to get Steen. I didn't circle him, but you're going to get Steen working up to the second level on the nickel corner as well. And now it's Saquon. Next shot, you see Saquon Barkley on easy street. 1-on-1 with a safety. Saquon Barkley is going to win that matchup any way you slice it, whether he's going to try and run away from the guy and erase the angle, or if he's going to run right through him. You know that he's going to make that guy miss with a full head of steam if he's untouched at that point. So Saquon Barkley into the end zone. Great execution up front from the offensive line. The use of pre-snap motion was excellent there on that play. I got to think it was the best 12 personnel or 13 personnel run from the entire afternoon. So a nice job there all around on that play from the Eagles.
Very subtle dig there, which I appreciate, Fran. And we can get into that tomorrow on the show at 2:00. Saquon Barkley in this game, 22 carries for 88 yards. Those numbers look a little bit worse with the carries at the end of the game. I think he was generally efficient in this game. There were just no explosives. Without breaking it down, what were your general thoughts on the offensive game plan in this game?
It's one where I just wish like you've got Tom Brady there in the booth. Like I want to hear him.
Les was all over this.
He was so annoying.
It's just like, go ahead, Les. Give me your complaint about general play-by-play stuff these days.
Well, he won't talk about the game. He has these narratives that he wants to talk about, and he gets lost. And they'll be showing something on camera that's really relevant. Like one time, the Chiefs were going to go for it on 4th down when we were assuming, everyone was assuming they were going to punt, and they're lining up, and Brady's blah, 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 blah. When I talk to so-and-so about such and such, I talk about the game sometimes, like what's on the screen. By that's what I mean by the game, not something you've noticed from Patrick Mahomes through the years, or there's a lot of that.
Jalen Carter was holding his wrist, and they're like, oh, well, he's just happy to be out there with his teammates playing.
Jalen Carter holding his wrist. He's happy to be back.
How about you show maybe why he heard it or how he heard it? Talk about it.
Well, and that's like, so you've got Tom Brady there. Like, I'd love to hear Tom Brady breaking down the Eagles pass game and like what might be going, like when Jalen drops back.
Right.
I wish I could see what he's seeing. Oh, I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it in 12 hours. But like, would have liked to be able to see it in the moment, so we could talk about it intellectually. But yeah, it was definitely apparent that he didn't feel comfortable in cutting loose down the field in a lot of those situations. Now, last week we talked about that and we were like, all right, like it felt like he was making good decisions, and then the film confirmed, like, yeah, Jalen was making good decisions with the football. There were a lot of good turn downs where he didn't force the issue, and so to me, like, I wish we could have seen that in the broadcast, but ultimately, yes, we saw that he did not feel comfortable cutting a lot of those throws loose. We could talk about like the lack of aggressiveness and things like that, but until you see the film, like, I don't want to go too deep into there. To me, Bo, I agree with your earlier point. The amount of like 12 and 13 personnel in the end to say like, all right, we're going to really hammer this home. Without Dallas Goedert, like I just don't. You can't convince me that that's your best personnel grouping and that's getting your best guys on the field. I will say, I don't know if you guys hit on this at the very top, but Bo, it wouldn't shock me if you led with this. Some nice Darius Cooper flashes early in this game, like away from the ball.
I did not lead with that, but I should have.
No, so I'm surprised you didn't. But to me, like
let's do that as 11 instead of having 12. For all the reasons you say.
Yeah, and then to me too, I think the big thing is just like the condensed formations running into a brick wall. Like the tight ends weren't good blocking last week. I will wait for the film for tomorrow, but I can't imagine that that's going to be different here in this game. I will say, like, again, based off what we saw from TV, I thought like, and this is like a process of results. I haven't looked at any of the next gen numbers or any of the true media stuff yet. So I have no idea like what Jalen Hurts' numbers were against the blitz in this game. I have no idea. But I will say, like, if you go back to Jalen from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and he's going up against Todd Bowles and Steve Spagnuolo and blitz heavy defenses, and like the process of like dropping his eyes and let me get rid of the ball fast, or I'm holding on to it too long, and it's that dance back and forth where it's just he's not poised and the timing's not great. He just looked confident. It was the same thing last week. I just thought he looked confident. He looked poised. They're sending extra pressure, whether it was picked up or not. He did a good job of keeping his eyes downfield and delivering. Yeah, they were short of the sticks, but I want to be able to see what those plays looked like, what he was asked to do. But just on first blush, I thought that Jalen played a really good game once again here this one. So I'm excited to go back and look at the film.
Fran, you see what happens when you got a Lombardi trophy? Hey.
That's right. You give it that little extra juice, man.
That's Lombardi, Jalen. When he got that trophy, that man looked so confident and smooth, no blitz. He already knew what he wanted to do with it and everything. I agree.
I totally agree with you. Go ahead, Fran.
No, to me, like we've seen him make like these like incremental like improvements over the years, right, in certain areas of his game, and I just feel like at some point like the light goes on for guys. We've seen this time and time again. That's why not to get like on a soapbox and go too far down a rabbit hole here, but I think it's incumbent upon organizations to do everything they can in a quarterback's first 5, 6, 7 years, set them up for success, give them as much confidence as you can, because at some point you get that graduate degree. At some point, like the light bulb comes on, and it's usually year 5, year 6, year 7. Like Mahomes has talked about this. So many other quarterbacks have talked about this, where you don't know what you're doing. You're kind of flying by the seat of your pants the first few years, but then at some point, it's like Neo in the Matrix, and it just clicks. And so to me, like I don't know if that's quite what has happened, but it might be what has happened with Jalen, where like he has kind of reached that level where he's just everything is slowing down, and you're seeing him just look really, really confident, decisive on the field.
I thought that Devontae Smith play down by the goal line was like a perfect example of that. I don't know if he makes that throw 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and he just kind of saw it coming, was cool, calm, collected, threw it up, and let his guy go make a play on it.
And it's funny, Jamie, because that back in 2022, this is the year they go to the Super Bowl. Early on, blitzing Jalen was a good outcome for the defense. The first few weeks of that season, teams were having success, and you saw it was like mid-season. Basically, the Eagles' answer was, all right, if we think they're blitzing, we're just going to throw a fade to Avante or to AJ and Devontae like that. We're just going to throw it. It's going to be bombs away, and we're going to let those guys make a play. And so it was nice, like to kind of see that again. You see that aggressiveness, but to your point, I don't think this was like a predetermined, like, all right, I'm just going to drop back and just let this loose and go make a play. I think this was like again, like the confidence and the poise, because it goes along with everything that we saw earlier in the game based off what we saw in the broadcast. So I am excited to see Jalen's ultimate performance once we go through the film in the morning.
It was the best 101-yard performance I've ever seen.
Well, I totally agree with you that he is seeing it well, and it's clear he knows where his answers are against the blitz. And it bears out a little bit. Now this is a little bit wonky because there might be some of these blitz numbers that change. But according to True Media, by the success rate against the blitz, this is a pretty poor performance for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense, 33% of the time. However, and by EPA per dropback, it's the same thing towards the bottom half. But if you look at just the time to throw, he's getting it out so quick. And it's like one of the 4 or 5 quickest games he's had getting rid of the ball against the blitz. And so I think those were what the answers were for him. And then you get back to like the play that I will remember if we're thinking about, if you tell us tomorrow that like the downfield concepts were just lacking. There's the one play where he has so much time. He's got like 8 seconds and he ends up having to settle for like a 1-yard completion to AJ Brown coming back toward the ball. Like how is that what's open that late into the down?
Yes, there were a couple other ones as well. There was the Saquon Barkley check down to the far left sideline, which was very similar to something that happened last week, and that was again there was like a good check down from Jalen. But I want to be able to see from the film and see if that was the case. But it's tricky, and it could be just one of those things where, like, all right, you have a new coordinator, new play caller, they're feeling each other out. You didn't have AJ Brown in the throughout most of camp, and maybe all right, you get to week 4, week 5, week 6, and things start to click. But definitely something to monitor, certainly over these first couple weeks.
Yeah, it felt also like I'd be curious to hear what you think tomorrow, but it felt like play action was very low in this game. Maybe that's a result of being expecting lots of blitzes, and you think you're going to get crushed, but. We saw the Chargers do that with plenty of success last week, so curious one. All right, Fran, you have given us a lot to chew on. Thank you very much on the PHLY Fran's Film Room. We will talk to you tomorrow on the show at 2:00 as we break down the All-22. But for now, we thank you very much. The chat is loving what you're bringing to the table.
Fran.
Appreciate it, guys.